I'm not going to work. You'll go to jail. But I'm not working for free. Jail. Lincoln got rid of that before. We're not doing it again, man. I'm not coming.
The government is shut down, and all of you need to remember one sentence. I do not work for free. I will work when I get paid. Now, continue to work for now. But the moment, and I mean the moment, your paycheck is delayed by any amount, stop. I don't care what you do. If you're a traffic controller, if you work for the post office, if you're a soldier, I do not care. If you are a government employee and your check, your paycheck is delayed by the slightest amount due to this government shutdown, stop what you are doing and do not work until you get paid. You are not a slave. Do not let them make you one. We do not work for free. Period. End of story. That's it. And if enough of you have that attitude, watch how fast they fix this shit.
It is now day 16 of the government shutdown. The White House has already fired about 4,000 workers, and now they're threatening to fire at least 10,000. But they could face a major roadblock ahead. Unions have started suing the Trump administration, a federal judge now putting those planned mass layoffs on hold for now. But hundreds of thousands of federal workers still caught in the middle of this shutdown. The president says that he has redirected funds to pay the military and the FBI, but TSA workers, air traffic controllers, contractors, they're all not getting paid right now. And truly, there's no end in sight. These two sides are not even talking to each other.
Well, thousands of government employees are waking up to no pay, as in they worked. And the government has to pay because these are federal employees. But I'm asking myself, why aren't they getting paid? Let me tell you why. The government shutdown has left families struggling to buy groceries, pay rent, and take care of their kids. Democrats and Republicans are still fighting in Washington. And while politicians argue, workers are suffering. Some federal employees have said they are tired, like they are fed up, and enough is enough, so they are refusing to work. Some of the people refusing to work include air traffic controllers, border agents, and office staff. Well, all caught in the middle of political shutdown, they didn't start. It's not their fault that you're having a political shutdown, but now it's affecting them. And you American who is there watching this, you're also getting affected because you're going to be delayed when you're taking a flight. You're going to be delayed if you're crossing a border on road. And that's all because of the government shutdown. America's government is frozen, but bills keep coming. Exactly. And now many are asking, how long can we survive without pay? As tight as this economy is, how long do you think these workers will survive without pay? Tell us what you think. Give them a solution. What do you think can be done to get this solved quick?
So let me be clear to those hardworking federal employees who are now being victimized by this Trump Republican shutdown. We continue to stand with you, and we'll stand with you as we've done from the very beginning of this presidency. And the law is clear. Every single furloughed federal employee is entitled to back pay. Period. Full stop. The law is clear, and we will make sure that that law is followed. And Democrats in the House and Democrats in the Senate continue to hold the line on behalf of the American people. Why? Because we're fighting to protect their health care in the midst of a crisis that has been inflicted upon them by Republicans from the very beginning of Donald Trump's presidency. And that's why Democrats continue to fight this fight on behalf of the American people. Whether they live in a blue state, a purple state, or a red state, this fight that Democrats are waging is on behalf of all Americans.
You have thousands of federal workers who have to show up to work and not get paid, and that's an unfortunate situation the Democrats have put us in. Then we can discuss this very important issue of health care that the president absolutely wants to fix. As I mentioned yesterday, he took... But But those premiums do not expire until the end of the year. It's October 1st right now. And so we have a few months to have that conversation. And it's irresponsible of the Democrat Party to try to convince the American people that that conversation has to happen right now. No, what needs to happen right now is the reopening of the United States federal government. And then this administration will be happy to work with Democrats in good faith to come to a policy determination. But one red line the government has already made clear, this administration has already made clear, this administration is never going to support taxpayer-funded benefits going to illegal aliens. And we think it's despicable that that was one of the first proposals that Democrats put in their funding proposal, in their CR. The Republican CR was a clean CR that would keep the government open. Democrats have voted for it 13 times in the past. The Democrats put this poison pill in there, this partisan pill. Why? Because they are beholden to the far left radicals in their party. And you already see 3 moderate Democrats having the courage to say no. We need to keep the government open, and then we can have these conversations about health care. Mary.
Caroline, I just want to circle back to something the Vice President said about Ocasio-Cortez. I'm actually surprised it didn't come up sooner. So if Schumer is catering to the demands of Ocasio-Cortez, can you share whether the White House views this as cracks in Schumer's leadership? And would the Vice President be open to meeting with someone like her if she is assuming this role in the Democratic Party?
Okay. I'll let the Vice President speak on that himself. I think that certainly Senator Schumer was not expecting 3 moderates to break with him last night. In fact, last night you heard Senator Schumer say he can't guarantee that he will be able to hold his caucus together. And so again, we encourage Democrats to have the courage to do the right thing, do what you have done 13 times previously, and vote for this clean continuing resolution to keep the government funded. As for what the Trump administration and President Trump is going to do, we'll continue to be very public that we want the government to be open, and as the Vice President said, we'll continue to work in good faith with anyone on Capitol Hill who wants to do right by the American people. Thank you all.
When would these layoffs begin?
2 days, imminent, very soon. You will expect more announcements right now.
Is it just not clear, or are you waiting?
No, it's not unclear. All of those things are very synonymous with one another. These rifts are unfortunately going to happen very soon.
And it'll definitely happen.
Caroline, we've been talking about the Affordable Care Act, enhanced premium tax credits, and sort of the politics of it all, right? But this is a very real, tangible impact that American people will feel. The Kaiser Family Foundation says that with the ACA enhanced premium tax credits, without them, premiums will go up 114% on average. 19 million of the 24 million people who rely on the coverage are in states that President Trump won. Is he concerned what will happen to those families if this tax credit expires? And aside from the shutdown, is there a plan to keep those premiums down?
Look, as the Vice President just said, we are more than happy to have this conversation. The President and the Vice President and this team are more than happy to have that conversation with Republicans and Democrats on Capitol Hill, but it cannot happen right now. Right now, we need to reopen the United States federal government because people are going without pay.
We have some major news right now. The White House no longer believes that furloughed federal government employees who were furloughed because of the government shutdown, well, they don't believe that they deserve back pay. This is a stunning departure from prior history. So according to Axios, there is an internal White House memo that essentially says that if you're a furloughed federal worker, meaning you haven't worked during the government shutdown, you haven't received pay, no fault of your own, you do not get back pay when you return to work. Now, this doesn't include federal workers who have been forced to work, like, for example, air traffic controllers. They've been working without pay. But it does include a whole host of federal workers who have literally been temporarily laid off because the government can't get its act together to keep it open. And in the past, all of those employees would receive back pay. Well, maybe not anymore. And if that's the case, if this is the position the White House takes, that would be a significant change in the way we do government shutdowns. I'll provide you more updates, obviously, as we get them, so spread the word. Follow along, stay up to date on all the news you need to know about. More to come very soon.
He's looking for loopholes to not pay federal workers. See, this is what happens when you have a swindler in the White House. Donald Trump and his businesses literally have an extensive and well-documented history of not paying people. And now he has brought those dubious shenanigans to the highest office of the land and is trying to find a loophole in the law that guarantees pay for federal workers during a shutdown. And don't think for a second it's one of those ancient laws that's outdated and he's trying to re-envision it. No, the law guaranteeing pay for federal workers in a shutdown was passed in 2019 when Trump was president. He's trying to find a loophole to a law that he signed. And it says, when the government reopens, both furloughed and accepted employees will be paid retroactively as soon as possible after the lapse ends, regardless of scheduled pay dates, which obviously makes sense because these workers swore an oath and took a pay cut to serve the United States of America. Now, mind you, the law was passed with hundreds of Republicans and hundreds of Democrats coming together in agreement. But now, our swindler-in-chief, Donald Trump, has directed his chief of trickery, Russell Vought, to change the policy. Is it too much to ask that they stay true to what they wrote on paper? Let's find out. Call your member of Congress and tell them to stick by what they said. Here's the number.
So, we talk a lot about strategy on this page. And I've been really trying to kind of think through the Trump administration's strategy around the government shutdown and what they are potentially going to do in order to profit or benefit off of it. So wrap with me for a moment. And besides the obvious of the Trump administration blaming the Democrats for the government shutdown, which we can see very clearly is a lie. And besides it possibly being a distraction from the call or demand from the people to see the Epstein files and to understand truth with that, I think there are two other reasons why. First, of course, being a distraction from any of the global harm that is currently happening or about to happen. And I'll put Palestine back on the table with that too. The Israeli occupation is known to break ceasefires. I believe that they already have broken this ceasefire, but I don't put it past them to continue doing that. And it most likely will be a time where we are the most distracted. But there are some serious impacts to the government being shut down, besides, of course, the fact that a lot of government city workers are working for free and may not get any back pay. A lot of these programs may actually receive less funding, so it could be defunded completely or partially by the end of this month, leading into what happens next month in November. So there's already a lot of talks about government assistance programs like food stamps, which is SNAP, or, cash assistance, things like that, that may not be operational next month in November. Interesting timing since we have an election. And I think people know, especially organizers know, that when people are concerned about their survival needs, they're less likely to be civically engaged. So worrying about your food stamps, worrying about, any type of assistant programs that can help you with utility assistance, rental assistance, cash assistance, and so forth, not being available to the people next month, they may not be worried about voting. I also think that this could ignite a set of riots and resistance, which we've seen time and time again, but I can definitely see that happening. And I think that the Trump administration would try to use that to justify sending more Fed police, National Guards, and ICE into more, areas, more cities. And of course, that will then continue more efforts towards mass incarceration and people profiting off of prison slavery. This is all interconnected. I believe I've understood the strategy enough to understand what they're doing, but open to y'all's opinions and what you think is happening.
I'll leave it to Mike Johnson for wanting people to work for free during a government shutdown.
It is true that in previous shutdowns, many or most of them have been paid for the time that they were furloughed. But there is new legal analysis. I don't know the details. I just saw a headline this morning. I'm not read in on it, and I haven't spoken to the White House about it. But there are some legal analysts who are saying that may not be appropriate or necessary.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but not paying people their back pay for work that they've done sounds pretty much like slavery. And I honestly wouldn't blame if any of these government workers decided to just not show up to work. I mean, TSA agents are essential workers, but they're not going to get paid during a shutdown. And as I recall, and you can also correct me if I'm wrong too, but during previous government shutdowns, I still remember people getting their back pay. And honestly, this sounds very familiar because I remember the orange guy that's in office right now has a history of not paying people for their work. which makes total sense if you know his history. But let me know what you think about this, because this is absolutely ridiculous and bonkers.
Government workers, they literally have you on another shutdown. They are playing right in your face. Think about it. Shutdowns, frozen pay, delayed raises, and promotions based on politics, not your hard work, not your value, not that you give even when you're on a shutdown, but based on politics. Meanwhile, you're just showing up, working for a system that decides when and when you do not eat. But here's the truth. The same energy you are giving to a government that does not care about whether or not you eat, the same skills you're using to serve them, you could use those skills to build something to help you to finally get out of the 9-to-5 grind. And maybe you won't be sticking around to be slapped in the face for a pension. That's exactly why I created a guide for you to learn how to turn your skills into income. It doesn't cost a thing. And you can get it by typing learn in the chats so that I can tell you exactly how you can start earning income with your skills, working right from home, and finally saying ixnay to the bullshit. Because these government people only care about one thing, their propaganda. They don't care if you eat. They don't care about your family. So go and let me know by typing learn in the comments below that you want this guy. And I'll tell you exactly how you can go and get it. Doesn't cost a thing.
These are working families. These are working Americans that have families, that live paycheck to paycheck, that have to pay bills, have to put food on the table. And denying him a paycheck is simply cruel. It's cruel.
You mean to tell me that the White House is now saying that federal furlough employees will not get back pay? If that were me, I would be outraged because federal employees did not ask for that. And especially when Trump back in 2019 signed into law that they will receive back pay. So what's the problem now? I will literally be outraged because how do they think people are supposed to make a living or even live without getting some type of pay? Y'all, this is just getting out of hand. And like I said before in one of my other videos, I fear that this shutdown will be longer than the one that was back in 2018. So yeah, that's crazy.
Hey, it's Laura with DRM Wellness. Today is October, 16th? I haven't been paid for a single visit that I have seen for my seniors in all of October because the government is shut down, and that's totally illegal. While they are shut down, they are not paying us for our services that we are providing to our Medicare clients. This sucks. It is really hard as a small business owner. I am not affiliated with a hospital. I am on my own. I am the janitor. I am the therapist. I am the biller. I am the marketer. I am all of those things. So it's very difficult to sustain a business when you're not getting paid. And, 80 to 90% of my clients are Medicare. And before you say, well, then just private pay, don't take Medicare. We can't opt out of Medicare. I can't see a client if they have Medicare and then choose to bill them privately. That's not legal. There's a lot of things I can't do because of rules for Medicare. And yet here we are, and they can decide that because the government shut down that they're not going to pay for our services. Therapists can't continue to work for free. It's not sustainable. I wrote a blog about it. I was pretty fired up this morning and I wrote a blog about it. So if you'd like to read more and kind of get my take on what's going on, go to drmwellness.org and check out my blog. But fingers crossed that they resolve this soon and we can get paid as therapists because it sucks. Hope you guys are having a good day. Bye.
Hot take, but I'd be so happy working for absolutely no money if I did not need money to survive. If I didn't need to worry about home or food or my education, I would so happily give my resources to anybody who needed it. I don't believe the only ones who deserve to enjoy everything that there is in this life are rich people. And I know this is a genuinely hard concept to get through some capitalist sympathizers' heads, but yes, some people will be willing to do work when money is not the incentive. Also, we act as if there's not so many other ways for us to trade, and like we haven't been trading for thousands of years prior to the creation of paper money. I say all this because a lot of people try to act as if there's no alternative to capitalism only because individuals will be unwilling to give up their wealth in order to see everybody else prosper. I think a lot of us are limited by our beliefs that capitalism cannot fall in our lifetime and that nobody will be willing to work if profit is not the incentive.
Y'all know what the best part of all of this government shutdown business is? Is that while hardworking federal workers have to continue to show up to work, not even knowing when the next paycheck is going to come. The people responsible for the shutdown, which are congresswomen, congressmen, and senators, who have one job, and they have this one job every year, and they always seem to not be able to fucking do it. Guess what? They all get paid. They don't miss one paycheck. That's America for you.
So many people out there crying and screaming about they're not going to get food stamps.
Hi Trey, my name is Jenny.
Go get a job.
In Texas, and my question is, what
Hell, get two.
matchup are you most looking forward to this year?
I don't get them, and I eat just fine.
Hi, Deborah DiAgostino with the Federal Practice Group here. I'm an attorney who represents federal employees. I got a lot of questions today about the statement from the administration that they don't believe that the 2019 law passed for the sole purpose of making sure that any furloughed workers do get back pay, does not require them to pay furloughed workers back pay. The language of the statute, it's 31 USC 1341, if anyone wants to look it up, is pretty unambiguous. It states that each employee furloughed shall be paid for the period of the lapse in appropriations, subject to the enactment of appropriations ending the lapse. So I don't see how you have appropriations ending the lapse that don't kick this law into gear. The administration is saying that somehow Congress also has to specifically say that they are allowing for back pay in this appropriation. That's not the intent of the law. It's not in the language of the law. If federal employees end up getting screwed out of back pay, you can file a complaint in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims. I'm confident that my law firm will be taking those cases if that happens. I'm really hoping it doesn't, but there will be relief if they do try to pull that stunt.
The U.S. government is in a shutdown, and it's not just a fiscal standoff. It's becoming a weapon, and many people's patience is wearing thin. They've shut down huge parts of federal operations. We're talking nearly 700,000 federal workers furloughed, and another 700,000 working without pay. Agencies like CDC, HHS, EPA, education, like super serious stuff, are feeling the pinch. The White House has actually begun laying off about 4,000 federal employees during the shutdown. That's not typical. They usually furlough, but clean cuts during a shutdown? That's a political move. And it goes deeper. President Trump has suggested that some people don't deserve back pay once the shutdown ends. That's a break from past precedent. Under law, furloughed employees are supposed to be paid when the shutdown ends. But the administration is challenging that, saying it's up to Congress to appropriate the funds. Meanwhile, Speaker Mike Johnson is saying he has nothing to negotiate with Senate Democrats currently right now. Republicans are protecting military pay by shifting Pentagon funds to keep troops paid, but that doesn't help thousands of other federal workers. On the Democratic side, Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine are pushing a new bill, the Federal Employee Civil Relief Act, that would shield these workers from evictions, defaults, and credit hits during the shutdown and for 30 days after. They're trying to protect people who are being squeezed for purely political reasons. Tim Kaine, during interviews, has said he's hearing fear, desperation from people who can't pay rent, who are being stripped of stability through no fault of their own. He's even said that many Republicans are willing to work and come to the table, but are too afraid to do so because they don't want to disagree with something Trump wants to put forward. So they have to wait for their dear leader's approval first. Here's the real question I'm asking you. Is this a shutdown, or is it a targeted weapon used to crush services, push an agenda, and punish public servants. Because when you start cutting health agencies, layoffs mid-shutdown, and challenging back pay, you're not negotiating in good faith, you're punishing. And when the right says Democrats are at fault because they need 7 of their votes, remind them that we are a constitutional republic, as they have said many times before. And this is how it works when you don't compromise. Currently, this is the mark of a failed governorship. On their part, they have all the control but can't execute. A lot of this goes back to the big beautiful bill, where they were able to use emergency powers to vote it through. In a regular vote, they suddenly need Democrat votes to get this thing pushed through. And now they're realizing that they have to compromise. Currently, if they can't vote on it, then the shutdown needs to hold out. Sorry.
It is 7:33 a.m. on a Sunday morning and is officially day 19 of the government shutdown. So let's do a quick check-in. Just for context, my name is Camille. I'm a political reporter based in DC, and I cover Capitol Hill, Congress, and every day of the government shutdown. So quick temperature check. How is everyone's weekends going? I'll start with mine. I have been covering this government shutdown every single day. And over the past few days, especially this weekend, I've talked to a lot of federal workers, people that are furloughed, meaning that they can't go to work and they're also not getting paid, and even essential workers. These are people that show up day in and day out at their jobs and they're not getting paid as well. Someone wants to join us. I think a lot of people's stories just really highlight just the severity of the situation and how many people are living paycheck to paycheck and are just genuinely anxious and worried about what's going to happen to them or their families if this government shutdown continues. Do you want to add anything to this? I've talked to people that have talked to me about how they don't know if they're going to afford or how they're going to afford childcare or daycare next month because they're still not receiving a paycheck. And it's really important for me to know these stories because every day I've been on Capitol Hill talking to lawmakers, really asking them what's the solution here. And it's really hearing these stories that helps me kind of contextualize what's at stake here and who's exactly being impacted. Just come on. Okay, give me a second.
The only way these shutdowns get resolved is when people come to the table and talk. And that's kind of difficult when Mike Johnson has told his caucus not to be around. They should be here in DC having conversations, interacting. That will lead to a place of agreement. But as long as he keeps people away, they're never going to come to the table to have a discussion of what should be done. Even if their position is still no, it's still better to have them here. And for the record, during most government shutdown, members of Congress are not allowed to go home. You're stuck here in Washington. That's the big difference. They don't even want to be here. They don't even want to negotiate. They don't even want to have a conversation. And that's not just unfair to the people here in Congress, but to the American people as a whole.
So the government will be shut down for at least several more days because you know who's not on Capitol Hill? Lawmakers. They are still getting their paychecks, but you know who's not? Many federal workers. And I want to introduce you to someone named Willie Jo Price. She is a cafeteria worker at the Library of Congress. She's worked there for 40 years. She's been through shutdown after shutdown. Just take a listen to what she told me years ago.
You worry that you won't be able to pay your bills by the end of the month if Congress doesn't act?
Oh, yeah. Yes. I worry about that. A whole lot. I've been up on this hill for 42 years. I've been there.
Oh. And now here we are yet again. This time she doesn't get a paycheck. She doesn't even get back pay.
God, it's terrible. And the gas bill, all of these things went up. So I'm already juggling paycheck to paycheck.
You may not be able to make rent.
Right.
Millions of American federal workers are under enormous financial stress as a result, wondering how they will pay their bills and take care of their families. If the Democrats do not vote to open the government tonight, federal workers will not receive their next full paycheck. Additionally, the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children will run out of federal money very soon. This program provides vouchers to buy infant formula, fresh fruits and vegetables, and other healthy foods for low-income families. It can be easily fully funded if Democrats simply vote tonight to reopen the government. Also, our incredible military service members who risk their lives to preserve and defend our country are now working without pay and will miss their next paychecks if this Democrat shutdown does not end tonight.
This message is for Donald Trump, all the Congress, and everybody that got to do with my money, okay? What are we supposed to tell these people? They looking for their money. We got bills. Like we have kids We have families that we have to feed. You know, we got real stuff going on. And I know y'all up there living lavish, you know, on a vacation at that. Y'all are having the time of y'all life. But I'm finna tell you, your citizens, your American citizens, we struggling. We struggling. We struggling. Hello, are y'all gonna help us? Are y'all going to help us at all? Is anybody going to help us? Because how is it that my husband has not been paid? He's a federal employee. He ain't been paid for something that's not his fault. Y'all gotta realize what y'all doing, dude. Like, how we gonna pay our bills? Ain't no funds for the bills. What are we supposed to do? Well, that's the question. What are we supposed to do in this time right now while the government is shut down? What are we supposed to do? Because, like I said, while y'all up there living lavish and on all these vacations and just taking y'all slow poking time, folks struggling down here, bro. Like, it's the real world down here. You know, like while y'all up there sitting on y'all high horses and big pretty pedestals and all that, what are we supposed to do? Huh? Hello? What are we supposed to do? Let me get up here. What are we supposed to do? Okay? Yeah, we got real bills coming up, baby. And it ain't like the light company gonna say, oh, well, yeah, I understand you are affected by the shutdown and things like that. So, yeah, we're just gonna waive your bill. No! They finna add a late fee. Like, what? Why would you add a late fee if we already ain't got the money to pay the original balance? Ooh, baby, somebody need to help us. Because right now, I'm finna be real. That orange carrot, that wrinkly, dried up carrot that's up in that office, and all them old wrinkled congressmen, y'all playing in our face. But then the minute that we start to wake up and realize that y'all playing in our face, oh, now y'all want to send the troops around. Oh, and what the heck are the troops finna do to us? Because the troops on our side, what y'all failing to realize. But okay, like I said, I just want to see, what are we supposed to do? Whenever somebody can answer that, that would be great. Because what are we supposed to do? We got real bills, real families, real stomachs that's empty because we ain't got no food. We ain't got no food. We ain't got no money to go buy the food. Like, what are we supposed to do? But hold on, let me put this out there too. While y'all not paying these federal employees and while the government is shut down, guess who's still getting paid? Donald Trump. Guess who's still getting the paycheck? All those congressmen that's up there taking their time. Open that government up, or it's gonna be a real problem.
Man, this is cold-blooded politics, y'all. So here's what's happening, and it's pretty big. The White House just put out a draft memo saying furloughed workers, the folks who are not allowed to work because of this shutdown, might not get back pay once this mess is over. That's right. Trump's people are saying that unless you are essential, meaning you worked without pay, you might be out of luck. Never mind that Congress has already passed a law in 2019 and Trump himself signed it, guaranteeing that every federal worker gets paid once the shutdown ends. He's out here saying that some people don't deserve to be taken care of. Sir, what are you talking about? These are mail carriers, park rangers, food inspectors, airport staff, working class Americans that make this country run while billionaires sit in boardrooms sipping on tax breaks. Now, let me be clear. This is not about saving money. It's about control, using working people as pawns in a political tantrum. When you hold people's pay hostage, you're not governing, you're exploiting. And if Trump gets away with this, it sets a dangerous precedent. The idea that the president can rewrite labor laws, ignore Congress, and decide who deserves a paycheck, That's not leadership. That's dictatorship behavior dressed up in a red, white, and blue flag. How is a president who lives off taxpayer-funded security, travel, and golf courses going to tell anybody else they don't deserve to be taken care of? This country was run on the backs of those same workers he's threatening. And how about this? If they ever stop showing up entirely, this government will collapse faster than a Trump casino. If this memo sticks, hundreds of thousands of families will miss rent, car notes, and grocery money, all because of one man's ego. Can't handle a compromise. He's trying to turn civil service into civil suffering. And the question every American needs to ask right now is simple. If he's willing to take food off the tables of federal workers, what makes you think your rights or your benefits or your job are safe next?
We are entering week 3 of the government shutdown, and hundreds of thousands of federal workers have received their last paychecks for the foreseeable future, and many of those paychecks were partial paychecks at best. There is absolutely no sign of a breakthrough on Capitol Hill on government funding. Republicans and Democrats continue to not talk to each other. Last week, we really started feeling the tensions rise. It was clear to a lot of people that paychecks were going to start to lapse, that folks' livelihoods were on the line, and members started actually getting heated with each other. We saw Senator Gallego and Senator Kelly get in a tiff outside of Speaker Mike Johnson's office with the speaker himself that got quite heated. People getting testier and frustrated about the roots of the shutdown as Democrats do continue to hold the line when only 5 additional Senate Democratic votes could reopen the government. As we come back for week 3, the reality is setting in that paychecks are lapsing. People are realizing that it was really, really easy to get into a government shutdown, but it is really difficult to get out. And I think we're going to start seeing people place additional weight on the need to reopen conversations, the need to have negotiations, and pressure on Democrats who may be retiring, like Gary Peters or Jeanne Shaheen, who may not want to go out with their last term having included one of the longest government shutdowns in recent history. For more on this, visit notice.com.
This government shutdown needs to end. If you are a federal employee or the spouse like I am of a federal employee who's still furloughed and not getting paid, or you are a federal employee who's being forced to work and not getting paid, or you receive federal benefits in some capacity and the shutdown is impacting your benefits, I see you. I'm giving you a big hug because this is stressful. We are on day 17 with no end in sight. And at this point, I think Congress should also not be getting paid. If they can't come to a resolution, then they should not be getting paid.
Almost 900,000 federal employees have been told they can't work. Go like and share this right now because a lot of people still don't know. Another 700,000 have been told they have to show up to work, but they're not going to get paid. We can't forget that these people are human beings just like you and me. They're not just trying to provide for themselves. They're providing for their families. And if you haven't heard it from anyone else, thank you for showing up. And for the ones that are not allowed to show up, I pray that you wake up tomorrow with better opportunities on your front doorstep.
This video is to offer some advice for all the families that are going through it right now. With SNAP getting cut off, a lot of government assistance getting delayed and slowed down solely because the government shut down. I know the holidays are about to hit really hard for some of you guys. I know even keeping food on your table right now is hard for some of you guys, and I empathize with you. And I just want to give y'all a bit of advice. Walk in that motherfucking grocery store and walk out with a full cart and steal.
I have an idea. We're talking about not showing up for work, right? Let's start with the unpaid government workers. They not getting paid no way. I don't work if I don't get paid. Let's just think about that. Airport's going to shut down. Ain't no TSA people. There ain't nobody in the air traffic control box. That's just one piece of it. They need to stop going to work. And guess what? They can say they're going to replace them, like we'll hire more people. Who the fuck going to take a job when they know they ain't get no check and don't know when they're going to get it? Yeah, let's shut this government all the way down. Let's just slow down to a damn stop. And where those Epstein files at? Because we know that's what it is. You got that woman waiting to be sworn in because she's the 218th vote. You ain't fooling nobody. You can buy yourself a little time, bitch. But I tell you what, this is going nowhere. This problem going to be addressed. Where are those Epstein files? Y'all real cute with this foolishness, and we see through you. You own the House, the executive branch, and the goddamn Supreme Court. This is not the Democrats' fault. They trying to help us keep our health care. And then they have nothing to do with immigrants getting health care, no matter how many times they say it. They just double down, la, 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 double down, la, 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 double down. That's all they do. That's their MO, projection, hypocrisy, deflection, and straight up lies. We see you. Unpaid government workers. Stay your asses at home. Let's do this.
The government's been shut down for about a week, which means hundreds of thousands of federal employees are being forced to work without pay, and many more are being furloughed. Not a good situation, but at least they had guaranteed back pay to look forward to when the government reopened. That was because of a little law called the Government Employee Fair Treatment Act of 2019. That was signed after Donald Trump set a record for the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, 35 days. He signed that law. I can't emphasize enough that Donald Trump signed that law. But now Donald Trump is saying that law has been misconstrued and that it doesn't guarantee back pay. The reason for this doesn't make a lot of sense because all these federal workers are needed to make the government run. But if you are telling these people that they have no back pay to look forward to, then why the hell would they keep working for you? He's basically holding federal workers' paychecks hostage and trying to blame Democrats for it. But let me know what you think. Do you think this is unfair? Do you think these federal workers should get their back pay? Should there be a law that protects it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll keep an eye on this. If you want to stay in the loop, you can follow for more.
Notice there's a lot of people saying, oh, you'll be all right. You know, if you're a federal employee, they're going to give you back pay. I just want to let you know there's a segment of workers, federal contractors, they don't get back pay. They don't get back pay. I don't think a lot of y'all realize that, but depending on how their contract works out, federal contractors, they do not get back pay. Oh, one more thing before I go. That back pay that you get as a federal employee is taxed, if y'all didn't know that. Is heavily taxed.
If the government doesn't reopen by November, EBT will not reopen either. So nobody is getting no EBT, no help, no Medicaid, no nothing. And the government knows that. And so many people right now are in a panic, as they should be, because people have children. People need Medicaid. Older people need Medicaid too. Like, y'all having the shutdown because y'all don't want to come to a decision. Y'all don't want to do what y'all got to do. And November might be a very horrible and kind of semi-violent month, because the government is not understanding that this is crucial. Like, people will not have food, people will not have medicine, people will not have the things that they need for their kids or for their for the people that they love who are older. And everybody's sitting here. I'm already seeing the videos talking about, like, if you see me starting to rob this place, mind your business. And I see a lot of other people who say, like, you know what, I'm just gonna, like, turn a blind eye. And it's getting to the point where everybody needs to understand that instead of judging and instead of sitting up here talking about, oh my God, just get a job, just get this, just get that. Okay, food stamps, have your opinion about it, don't care. But Medicaid, people who are actually older use food stamps. People who are older need Medicaid. And y'all, some heartless ass people sitting up here talking about, oh, well, you should have got a job, you should have done this, blah, 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 whatever y'all got to say. The government shutting down is affecting a lot of people right now, and especially the people for the month of November who is not going to get food. I've seen people on here talk about where they got a letter from the government or something like that talking about that their food stamps will not come in, their Medicaid will not come in. It just won't, and that's it. So if the government doesn't come to a decision and reopen before November, nobody is getting what they need.
If you're a federal employee, you've been furloughed, here are some things you should know. Number one, today you should apply for unemployment insurance with your state. You don't know how long this is going to last, and this time Trump has threatened to lay off furloughed workers. I'm sure he won't do that, but he's threatened to do it. The application process takes weeks to go through for the unemployment insurance, so you may as well just fill out the application today. The longest the government has ever been shut down was the last time Trump shut it down, 35 days. But after that, the Democrats passed a bill making it law that all furloughed federal employees would have to be repaid for the time missed during the shutdown. So know that you will be paid for this time that the government is shut down. And when that happens, you basically just pay back the state with the unemployment insurance if you took it. Here's some other good things. You can still borrow from your TSP as long as you pay it back. And also your health care will last for 365 days regardless of the shutdown. We all know bullies. We've all been to school. Bullies are normally the weakest and most insecure people on the playground. And I've never met a bully more insecure and weak than Donald Trump. He'll back down like he always does. He always chickens out. And just like 2019, He'll cave into this, and I'm sure the government will open in no time. But look, I'm with you, folks. I love you. Hold the line.
I want to rant about something because I'm really irritated about this. So I just retired from the federal government after 20 plus years of federal service. And not once did I ever tell my boss, I just can't do my job right now, but I still want you to pay me my paycheck. If those people in DC don't get their shit together, people like me, active duty military, my coworkers that I used to work with, we are all wondering, are we going to get paid? Are we going to get our checks? Because now the yahoos in DC, one half the side of Congress isn't even back, or maybe they are. Shit, I can't keep up with it because every day it changes. All I'm saying is, I don't need other people making decisions about my finances. If you all can't get your shit together down there, that is uncalled for. It is embarrassing. And it needs to change because you are dealing with our livelihoods here, our well-being, how we feed our families, how we pay our bills. I can't tell my mortgage company or my bank that owns my loan for my car, I'm sorry, Congress isn't in session. I may not get my paycheck, so I can't pay you. Get your shit together. Get this done. Enough.
7,200 federal workers applied for unemployment last week. You know, I took notes. Let's talk about it. All right, so the claims are coming from a Department of Labor buried website called the Unemployment Compensation for Federal Workers program. That program only applies when someone loses their job through no fault of their own. And so just 2 weeks ago, there were only 600 claims on their site. Then the government shutdown hit and the number skyrocketed to over 7,000. So it's like 7,224, I think, is the complete number. So that is an over 1,000% increase in layoffs in less than a month. These aren't just the temporary furloughs. These are actual job cuts. So this is the reduction in forces that were happening. I think that some of these are factored in with the stop that the judge did, but we'll get to it. The article mentions it, but it doesn't really give that much detail. So anyway, White House Budget Director Russ Vought said on the Charlie Kirk Show, that's the Turning Point USA program, that more than 10,000 federal employees could lose their jobs in this reduction in force actions, which again, a judge has stopped because she said it was illegal. He described it as part of an effort to restructure the federal government. Critics says that it looks more like a political purge, which, hi, I'm critics. And Trump even told reporters that there will be a lot of job cuts and they'll all be Democrat oriented. So, I mean, not too far off there. This week, however, a federal judge in California stepped in. Judge Susan Elston issued a temporary restraining order to stop the layoffs. She said the administration was acting contrary to laws, basically using the shutdown as an excuse to rewrite the rules, essentially. She even pointed out that some workers might not know they've been laid off, which we talked about in a previous video, because the notices were sent to their government email accounts and furloughed employees can't access those accounts. All right, so the White House says they do have the legal authority to fire people. Press Secretary Caroline, y'all know who, called the judge a far left partisan and said that they are 100% confident they'll win in court. So here's the question. Is this really about cutting costs or is this about control? I mean, we know what it is. Well, let me know in the comments. Fair or foul? What do you think?
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.